All right, good afternoon. It's 3:05. We are here for a special meeting of the Board of Commissioners on November 30th. And we set this special meeting earlier yesterday in response to our OHB, well, Outfitter and Guide moratorium, and following our town hall Tuesday evening of this week, where we had a lot of feedback and some other things came to light, and we thought it would be best for the board to convene and discuss whether or not we might just need a little more time to expand on clarity and details. So with that, if the board doesn't have anything else to add or correct, I will turn it over to community planning and development staff briefly.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
thank you. Yeah, would you like me to read the memo into the record just to
Please.
inform the public? Okay.
Appreciate it.
So yeah, I'm presenting on behalf of Ann today. She's out ill, but we just have a brief memo. Yeah, like Sarah said, you know, based on the feedback we got at the town hall meeting, it makes sense to extend the moratorium for no more than 60 days, but just to give us some time for kind of to formulate that feedback and to create a menu of options for how to go forward that would be satisfactory to everyone. So I'll read that memo really quick though. The OHB Town Hall was well attended with approximately 80 in attendance, both in person and online. Beneficial public and commissioner feedback has been received that should be considered to inform the final findings and recommendation from Community Planning and Development, CPD. To date, CPD has provided a draft commercial recreation permit process, an approach with Parks, Recreation, and Open Space collaboration on the development of youth programming, the creation of the roadway use guide/map, and coordination with the Sheriff's Office on enforcement. CPD is requesting adequate time to consider the new feedback that has been received by the commercial/private user groups, concerned citizens, and the BOCC to provide the BOCC with a menu of options to consider in the approval and adoption of a new county ordinance. Staff is suggesting additional time. Has value to ensure CPD's recommendations are considered of all perspectives to provide Lake County leadership with the best information available for their policy decision making. An extension of the moratorium for a maximum period of no more than 60 days would be reasonable and allow staff the time needed to consider the feedback in a meaningful way.
Thank you, Bryce. Any comments from the board?
No, I think it's the right course of action, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I agree as well, and I think there were definitely some things that came up that we thought we looked at pretty hard, but realized that there's still some places where we can perfect in providing clarity and of expectations and details on application, and where we're looking at broader or different how we differentiate that between a new ordinance draft and the application. So I think do we think I'm thinking like March 1st or 60 days to
So yeah,
end of January?
End of January. If we wanted to keep it under 60 days, it would be like January 28th or so.
Okay, sorry, for some reason I was like thinking we're in mid-December. Like, oh, we're not there yet.
I've really been asleep.
So January 29th is a Monday. And that's, or we have January 26th, which is a Friday. That might be nice to have an end of week kind of deadline to.
What if we do it, what do we think about February 1st, since that's the first Tuesday and the first regular meeting of the BOCC?
Oh, yeah.
So that aligns with the meeting date, because I think we sitting here today and our moratorium ended tomorrow, or ends tomorrow, right. We just have to like schedule a thing in there.
Yeah, February 1st is Thursday.
Oh, it is?
It is.
Okay.
But yeah, absolutely.
What was that? What's the first?
The Tuesday will be the 30th, January 30th. I think you and I might have a meeting, or if you'd like to attend that meeting in Aurora.
Oh, right.
That's a consideration.
And that's not a regular meeting day. So the first regular meeting around that 60-day mark would be February 6th. I think that sounds reasonable.
I think so too.
Okay. why don't we look at February 6th?
Okay.
I know, that's fine, a lot of those 60 days are kind of gonna be eaten up by finalizing the budget, holidays.
Holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay. All right. All right, Sheriff, any comments?
I appreciate the extra time too, as we try to clarify the difference between what we want to enforce state statute wise and how we as a county want to look at what we're going to enforce with our, taking this exception for OHV and our roads, so,
Okay,
yeah, perfect.
okay. All right, with that, and this is a hearing to do that extension, so unless anybody objects or there's any other thoughts, I'll open it up for public comment. All right, doesn't look like anything else at the moment. I'd like to open up the public portion of the public hearing for the consideration of the extension of our outfitter and guide moratorium, and I'll start with folks in the room. Please state your name and your address. Go right ahead.
Peter Day, 27 Daisy Drive. Just like to say first, I thought the town hall was great. It was extremely well attended. It was very civil and polite, but a lot of viewpoints were aired. So I commend CPD for doing that under your auspices. I think extending the moratorium is appropriate. I just wonder whether 60 days is enough, because if you're meeting on February 6th is to consider a new ordinance, which I presume that you're gonna pass the ordinance first and then or at the same time, and then the moratorium would end. So maybe you can do it in 60 days, but I don't see why it would hurt to give yourself 90 days. And maybe finish it earlier, but have enough time because you gotta notice the ordinance, I guess, in the paper and all of that stuff. All of that stuff's gonna take a little bit of time, so maybe 90 days would be more appropriate.
Thank you, Peter. And I don't think we don't have any other public in the room to make comments, so I'll look online. Any public comment from anyone joining us online? Please either raise your hand or feel free to unmute. State your name and address. Looks like we might have some listeners, but nobody interested in making public comment. Okay, I'm taking silence as no interest to give public comment. Alrighty, we'll close the public input portion of the meeting here, and any thoughts, any other thoughts from the board?
I don't think so.
Honestly, I'm kind of throwing away December as any working
Yeah.
things.
That's fair.
So if we really want or think like 2 working months, which I kind of really do think, and not to like push it, just keep kicking, not intending to feel like we're kicking it down the road, but really like 2 solid months of working on it.
To go the 90 days
To
instead
go
of 60?
90 days maybe, but
My only
What are the
concern
thoughts?
with that is that it would be great to have this process in place for summer operations in 24. And I just think if we go to 90 and then take start I don't know how, I'd be interested in like what staff thinks, like what's the time frame from like pre-application discussion to actually someone getting their permit. I just don't know if we can get that done before people need to like hire staff and get equipment in place.
I think that's fair, because they're gonna be noticing timelines and stuff that come along with that process as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
remind us what the noticing requirements are for the ordinance. Is that a 60 or a 90 day? Do you know, Tracy? For the ordinance, do you know the posting requirements? Okay. I don't recall. Chris, do you recall the posting requirements for?
I was just looking. Yeah, I was just looking for that because that something's telling. I'm thinking it's 60, but let me confirm that real quick.
The other thought is that we can sure set the moratorium deadline longer and be ready beforehand and do that.
That was a
Um,
comment I was gonna make, that you can extend up to another 6 months, which I wouldn't recommend in this case, but you're not limited to like 60 or 90 days for the extension. And then you can always, if you're ready before, you can come back and, address it earlier.
Yep,
The only thing I would ask is if you go 90 days, that first Tuesday of March is an election day.
oh, okay,
Oh,
Please
That's
don't
right.
do it on election day.
okay.
I think there's a possibility to do both, where like we could have an internal timeline of February 1st or February 6th, having the ordinance ready and the menu of options ready for you to consider. So we can have it well in advance of the moratorium ending.
yeah,
In March or something like that. And that way, we could finalize it early, or at least plan to finalize it early, but maybe give ourselves that buffer to March in case there's something else that comes up or other considerations that come up through this winter.
Yeah, that makes sense.
in that case, waiting to get to February in the calendar. It's kinda- I mean, so Commissioner Fiedler. Let's see. Do we wanna look at, and considering Clerk Lauritsen's comment too, just pushing that to February 20th as our second regular meeting date, but really trying to get in,
Yeah,
really trying to have the goal of the 6th to be,
Finalized
Finalized.
on our end, yeah.
yeah,
That's,
I'm good with that.
okay.
makes sense.
And then let's double check all those posting requirements, cause we might have to post that sooner than everything is
Yeah,
revised.
Yeah.
Okay, so sorry,
No,
just
no,
so the
let's wrap
moratorium
up
to the
that, yeah.
20th and with the intention to be prepared sooner. Okay, and sorry, Commissioner, go ahead.
oh, no, for staff also, maybe, should we think about, like, I mean, there's some things I heard at the town hall and some other thinking from when we had the session on the ordinance before. What's a good deadline for us to give you any additional, like, questions or preferences, et cetera, by, like, do we wanna try to get that to you, like, in December? Yeah,
I would say so.
Thanks.
As soon as
I was gonna
possible.
say 2 weeks in advance of the, but
At
that would be
minimum,
better.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, okay,
December, early January.
Yeah,
yeah,
We can do that.
Alright,
I mean, I think, I mean, I just think it would be good to have, like, I mean, we can keep having thoughts and as long as we want, but like, really try to do our best to get all feedback and like things we wanna see in the final product in
Yeah.
sooner rather than later.
well, and I just think with consideration of how busy you guys are coming up in December, it might make sense to make it like a early January, mid-January deadline for your comments. And that still gives us time to consider them and put them into, the ordinance, but it also gives you time to kind of think about it and
Mhm.
take some extra time.
okay.
Cool.
Sarah, I
Go.
found the information you were asking for, on that, so I can just tell you real quick, but where'd it go? In terms of the timing for it, so in order to adopt an ordinance, the proposed ordinance needs to be presented at a regular or special BOCC meeting and read into the record, as well as published in the Herald Democrat for at least 10 days before a meeting scheduled for its adoption. And then once adoption, unless it's for some sort of an emergent issue, which wouldn't apply here, the ordinance doesn't take effect for 30 days following the date it was first published. So that's what the recommendation would probably be. We get the draft ordinance in the Herald at least 30 days out from when you would like to have a meeting to consider adopting it.
30 days or 10?
Well, it has to be at least 10 days, but if you don't do it 30 days, then even if you have a meeting to adopt it, then you have to wait the 30 days after that. So it has to be published in the Herald at least 10 days before the meeting.
Yep,
But then if it hasn't been published at least 30 days before, you have to wait the 30 days for it to go into effect.
Okay. So it's
We can
30
work
days,
on timing on that.
okay,
Do you still think February 20th would be a reasonable moratorium extension deadline then, Chris?
Yeah, I don't see any problem with the time. It's more of what time CPD and other staff and the commissioners need to review it before it becomes before them, type of thing. So as long as that's feasible for staff time and CPD, I don't see a problem with February 20th.
Okay, and we'd probably have to move forward, that comment deadline from you guys then.
Yeah.
Would probably be, by the end of the year, if we needed to have this ready 30 days in advance of the 20th.
would
Which would
we,
probably
so
be-
because it is, I mean, it's kind of if it's not posted 30 days before the consideration, then when it is considered and passed, it will be in effect 30 days after,
That's correct.
but
Well,
if
from the
it is,
date, from the date it was first published. So if you publish it 10 days before the meeting, you have the meeting and the BOCC adopts it, then it would not go into effect for another 20 days because it's 30 days overall.
okay. Okay,
You good?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, I feel if we're not ready 30 days before the meeting, that's okay. I mean, I don't wanna, but you guys can have your own internal
Okay,
timeline going and keep us posted on status of your
yeah, I think we could make it work.
preparation.
February 20th is past that 60 days we're requesting, so we can make that work. I just think it's gonna be a little bit more for you guys to get us your comments a little earlier.
Great,
Okay.
alright. Great.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
Okay. I think that's the majority and everything we need to kind of iron out here then, and with that, I'll entertain a motion to extend the outfitter and guide moratorium to February 20th, with the intention of also entertaining an ordinance draft, or an ordinance revision to accompany it.
So moved?
A second,
Any further discussion?
None for me, thank you.
none for me.
Sure. Go ahead, alright, CPD,
Okay?
good, alright. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor? Aye,
Aye.
Aye.
excellent, great. Well, thank you, and that is the only thing on the agenda, so that concludes this meeting. Appreciate y'all making the time, and yes, again, thanks for the success on that town hall Tuesday night.
Great turnout.
I thought it was great, yeah. A lot of good feedback and, it's a contentious issue, but everyone was very respectful.
Alrighty, well, we will adjourn at 3:24.
Thank you.